For our next work, we're going to take a look at different types of landscapes. A couple of things that I want you to think about is what time of year you want to show in your work and what time of day you want to show in your work. We're going to take a look at horizon line. The horizon line is essentially where the sky and the ground meet up. As objects get closer to the horizon line, like this little tree, they start to look smaller. And as things get closer to you, they appear to be closer to the bottom of the page. So we'll go over that as we start our drawings. First, I want to show you some examples. We're going to use our color wands. We're going to add water to spread those out so that they have a painted look. And we're going to use our crayons to add our color and patterns. You can also think about using different types of lines and shapes to indicate what the weather is doing outside. So here it looks like we have some fall images, and then down below, these look like they could be spring or summer based on the foliage on the trees. This person also does a nice job showing the horizon because this tree that's far away is much smaller, and the trees that are supposed to be closer to you are closer to the bottom of the paper. So here are some examples, and then in the next part of the video, we're going to start drawing our landscape in pencil. To begin your work, you're going to need one of your large 12 by 18-inch pieces of paper that was folded in half. And you want to lay it out in front of you so that it's facing in the horizontal direction. So the long side of the paper should be facing you, and the shorter side should be on the sides or the ends of the paper. About, I'm going to say halfway up, I'm going to draw what's called the horizon line. And that is where the sky and the ground meet up. And in drawings, paintings, even in photographs, as objects get closer to that line, they appear to be farther away. I would recommend making your drawing nice and light so that you can erase if you decide to make changes. I'm going to draw just a little bit darker so that you can see my lines. So here's my horizon line. To add a little bit of dimension to my work, I'm going to incorporate some rolling hills, like in the paintings that we looked at previously. So I can go above my horizon line slightly, and I'm going to add in some curved lines to look like hills. And I can erase parts of my horizon line. That was just to get me started. I'll have an indication of where things will start to look the smallest. Once you have part of your landscape drawn in, I might add one more little hill out in the front. Once you have your landscape drawn in, you can start adding in some other plants, maybe some animals into your landscape. The focus of a landscape is in the name. It's essentially the land that you are looking at. So I'm going to think about the time of year and the time of day. I think I'm going to make mine a nighttime scene. So I'm going to add in a moon. And I'm also going to make this a winter scene. So I might add in some clouds, maybe a few little snowflakes. And I'm going to show those just as some little dots. So that has me thinking about what colors I want to use. Since it's both nighttime and winter, I'm going to use mostly dark colors and my cool colors, like purples, blues, and greens. But today I'm just going to get everything drawn out in pencil. So I have my plan for my sky, and now I want to add in some elements of the land. So for the pieces that are close to you, those should appear larger. So I'm going to make some bare trees, And anywhere I overlap with parts of my hills or other items, I can always erase the interior later. So this tree is very large, so it's going to appear closer in your work. I'm also going to add in some little neighborhood houses that are far away. They're nice and small because they are even above the horizon line. This is up on the ridge of Pleasant Ridge. And as you get smaller, you might not need quite as many details. And I'll add in some trees that are farther away. So I'm going to make those a little bit smaller. And let's see, I might add in a tree that's still pretty close, but a little bit farther away than my first tree. And you don't have to use the same time of year or types of plants and animals. You can make this work your own. And I also know that birds are an animal that still stick around during the winter. So I'm going to add in a few little birds here. And in the spirit of keeping things fun and colorful, like some of the landscapes we saw, instead of simply just drawing grass, I'm going to divide up my hills and incorporate some different patterns on my hillsides. I'm going to have some of these patterns going in different directions. Feel free to add in more details as you go along. I plan to work on this a bit tomorrow and draw in some of my patterns. I can focus on using different shapes to create my patterns. I can also incorporate different types of lines. I might even reserve this for after I work on adding in some color, and you can add the patterns on top. But just to give you an idea of how to start. So for today, think about what type of landscape you want to do. Do you want it to be in Ohio, like I drew mine? Do you want it to be somewhere further south, like a swamp, or a rainforest? Do you want it to be further north where you might have different types of trees like pine trees, think about where you want your landscape to be, what time of year it is, and what time of day, because that will influence your color choices. Go ahead and get your paper and pencil out and get started on your drawing in pencil only.